Welcome to Truth with Consequences, the Super Bro Patreon exclusive bonus show. Today we're watching Beyond the Mat. Now, Vince, before we get started, when I say the words Beyond the Mat, what is it that comes to your mind?
Man, what is it that comes to mind, bro, really was Vince McMahon gave Blaustein, was that his name, Blaustein? Full reign. And there were a lot of people that were very, very surprised because, I mean, this is 99, bro. You know, the internet, of course, is, you know, starting to steamroll at this point. But there was still an element of kayfabe, and Vince opened everything up to Blaustein, bro. I'm talking production meetings. I'm talking everything. So, like, that tells me I don't know what Vince's involvement was in it financially. I don't know what his payday was, but I know, like, he literally, you know, tore down the curtain, and there were really a lot of people that were surprised about that.
It's surprising to me because, to my knowledge at this point, it was only the second time a film crew had got access to that kind of coverage behind the scenes of WWE, and the first time, Vince McMahon got punched out and was seen on camera selling, which is something he hates.
What was that, the bread thing?
The bread thing.
Wow, that was on camera? The punch?
The punch wasn't, but him walking down the hall, holding his head, walking down the hallway.
Now that preceded this, Matt?
Well, this came out in 1999.
Wow. Okay.
And that's interesting. We'll talk about that when we watch the Bret Hart thing, but that's one reason people think that Montreal might have been a work, is because Vince doesn't sell ever. Yet he allowed himself on camera selling a punch, you know, and the black eye and all that stuff. Yeah,
well, maybe at that point he was looking for sympathy, you know.
He's also a worker, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You guys can get this. There's a lot of places you can get this on Google Play, or you can get it on iTunes, or you can even get it on YouTube, the paid model of YouTube where you pay $3.99. But maybe if you do a little Google search, you can find it the way we did. And, you know, because as we know, Vince doesn't even like paying $5 for a record album that has Jimmy Hart on it. So he's not looking to pay some extra money to watch
it. It was a scratch record album that had Jimmy Hart on it.
It didn't have Jimmy Hart on it?
No, it was a scratched record album that had Jimmy Hart on it. Now, if that was in pristine condition, I think I would have forked over the $5.
Did it work? Did you play it?
I'm afraid to play because I think it's too beat up. It'll ruin my needle.
So what we're on right now is Beyond the Mat. I have it where the Imagine logo from the production company, it starts out like really kind of like on a reflection on a pool, but I have it where it's solid in the middle of the screen. Is that where you're at?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're going to watch this movie together. 3, 2, 1, play. And we see the logo for Imagine Entertainment. Now, were you excited about seeing yourself on screen when you saw yourself in this movie?
Not really, bro. I mean, not really.
I just always have.
So it starts out with Blaustein himself talking about his infatuation as a kid watching pro wrestling with a montage of old wrestling. Is this something that you kind of, you know, empathize with? Is this growing up with these larger than life people on TV hitting each other like this?
3 years later.
Yeah, I think that's fair, bro. I think that's a fair assessment. With me, it probably started about 13. You know, so I mean, I wasn't that young. It was probably 12 or 13.
And then your life kind of parallels his in a way where you went from seeing Bruno to seeing, you know, what we're seeing now, which is Paul Bearer and The Undertaker and you know, Ravishing Rick Rude and Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's crazy to think of the explosion, not just in popularity, but in production that happened over the next 30 years or so.
Oh yeah, no, it was cookie cutter for a long time, bro. You know, the the WWF Saturday morning show. And then I remember there was a late night, like 12 o'clock show, I think on WOR. It was very, very, very cookie cutter back then.
It's weird now because a lot of times when you watch those older wrestling, it's hard to watch because it's just like watching someone take a headlock for a little bit and then for a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And, I guess the Marks liked it back then too, huh?
Yeah. Bro, you know what the cool thing about Barry was? He spent a lot of time in my office. We spoke a lot. The cool thing about him, bro, was like, he was like never digging for dirt or any of that shit. You know what I mean? He genuinely did this movie as a wrestling fan and had a respect for the business. He was never looking for the dirt or the inside scoop or the gossip. He was really upfront. He was just a fan.
Now, here's a look inside of Titan Towers, and they do a juxtaposition with Titan Towers and the violence and the entertainment you see on screen, and he's getting lost almost within this huge construct. Tell me a little bit about Vince's office.
I'm wondering what floor he's on right now. That's what I'm trying to figure out, bro. Vince's office is wild, man. Really, really wild. Wow, look how young Linda is. Look at all of them.
Were you surprised there's a little talk about her becoming the chief of staff for the president?
Who, Linda?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. He, bro, his office was weird. Yeah, the red walls, bro. Part of the wall, I think the walls were red, and it was a zebra carpet. The black and the white zebra carpet. It was really, really, really weird, bro.
Fuck yes, zebra carpet. Hey, can you confirm there's Dude Love and Vince is teaching, he's talking to Dude Love how to strut, And so this was that infamous shot of Dude Love's feet for the first time that probably was on the Titantron every time you saw him, right?
Can I tell you something, bro, to be honest with you?
Oh, look who it is.
Look at that hair. Look how young and good. Look at Sable checking me out, bro. Not for anything. I mean, for the record.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? You see how Vince was producing Dude Love there like that?
Sure.
He was doing that for the camera, bro. If Blaustein was not there and he was not filming, he would not have been doing that. He wouldn't have involved himself with something that was not that important. You know what I mean?
We're looking at Jim Johnson. We haven't talked about him much at all. What was your relationship like with him? Did you?
I didn't have much of a relationship with Jim because the music studio, the TV studio was separate from Titan Tower, but the guy was a freaking genius, bro. Absolute genius, man.
I met him at StarCast, and I was like, "Hey, man!" And he was sitting by himself, and he was in this big room by himself. And I said, "Nice to meet you." And I go, "I'm a big fan. As a matter of fact, the song you're listening to, because it was the All In theme, which was mine." I said, the song you're listening to, I did. I'm a big fan of yours. He could not give a shit about me. He was like, okay, move along.
Oh, really?
I think he's just
bro,
shy.
This guy, about Jim Bell, right?
No, tell me about
that we
Jim Bell.
Just saw. Oh, bro, he ripped the company off huge, bro. I think I don't want to say this for sure, but I think there was some jail time involved. He was skimming off the top, bro. He was selling the licenses to companies and taking money for himself, and he got caught, bro. Like I said, bro, I think there might have been some jail time involved.
Now, we get a shot of, okay, so we are, get a shot of Draws. I saw Draws 2 weeks ago. In his chair.
Oh, how's he doing, bro? How is he doing, Matt?
He looks, he looks about what you'd expect. He seems okay. He seems happy to see everybody. He couldn't move. Someone was feeding him. He had a water tube going to his mouth where he could get water, but he was engaging fans, talking to fans.
I wish I could see him again.
So with this scene in particular, is this true to form of Vince McMahon?
No. This is not genuine at all, bro. Vince is definitely hamming it up and playing it up for the cameras. Bro, I could tell when Vince is being genuine, and I could tell when Vince is playing it up for this movie. He's not being genuine here.
So this is all for the cameras.
Yeah, but he loves that shit. I mean, don't get me wrong. The fact that Draws can puke on demand, Vince loves that shit. He's got this adolescent, puke shit. I mean, it's the weirdest thing about Vince, bro. The weirdest thing.
Like, he loves the ass. He loves the butt.
He loves that shit, bro, which is freaking weird. It's just weird, man.
Well, that's for the psychologist to figure out. Here, but Draws really couldn't vomit on cue is the thing, right? Like,
right.
Like, look, he's like, okay, pal, show me. Here's a trash can. Show me. This must have been storyboarded out, right? This whole scene.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt about it.
Shane's dying. Shane's dying right now. Look at him.
That's Vince. That's Vince's office right there, bro. You see that door over there? You see that door that led to that other room?
Yeah.
That was the conference room where he threw the magazine down.
Look at the pressure he's under. He's gonna puke.
He's so hamming it up. It's ridiculous. Man, I got to tell you, Matt, it is tough to see how old everybody has gotten, including myself, bro. It's tough. It's hard. It's hard for me to see Vince like I saw him the last 2 days. That's very, very hard for me.
As a fan I've never met him. I've seen him in person. I love old Vince on camera. Like, I liked seeing him on TV the last couple of days, but it is weird. It makes you feel old yourself when you watch someone get older.
Very old. It's hard, bro. It really is hard for me. It's very difficult for me.
Now we're getting a shot of, I think this is UPW, or this is I forget the some of the stars of the film come out of here. I got to ask you one question about Vince. Oh, there he is.
Who is that?
Oh, what is his name? He is the unlikable indie promoter who is bringing people out to the to WWE. His name slips me right now. I was expecting a graphic, but he doesn't come off very well on this film, I don't think. Hey, I got to ask you this about Vince's house.
Yeah.
Can you confirm that Vince had a portrait of himself in his house?
Yes, he did. Yeah, huge portrait of himself.
Was it like him on a motorcycle or something like that?
No. Just him kind of sitting on him kind of sitting on the couch. It wasn't a motorcycle.
Now, were there a lot of guys like this, older guys who just wanted to get, like, this guy is...
Bro, this is your typical wrestling promoter, bro. It's just your typical wrestling promoter. It really is.
He's almost...
Bro, you know what blows me away, Matt? It blows me away how people pay money to go to wrestling school to people who never made it. Like, how could you pay money to be trained to wrestle by people that never made it in the business? That freaking blows my mind. And that's what a lot of promoters do. They just freaking rip off young hopefuls with stars in their eyes, bro. It's a scam, man.
There's no money in chasing a dream, but there's money to be made from taking advantage of people who are chasing a dream.
Exactly, Matt. You put that beautifully, bro. Beautifully. And I'm sure you deal a lot with that on a different level, right, Matt?
There's a lot of music teachers out there who don't have credibility. One thing that gives me credibility is I was really brought in to the circle by a lot of professional, famous, notable, Grammy-winning musicians and teachers. So I can always go to that as my credibility. But most music teachers are just guys who know how to play the guitar.
Yeah. Hey, Adam Tanner said the promoter is Roland Alexander.
Thank you so much. Roland Alexander he looks like, so a lot of people don't know the way it works at these conventions, but basically, if you go to a wrestling convention, there's usually some dude sitting next to the star, and that person guarantees the money to the star usually, and then keeps the money until they get their money back, and maybe there's a split afterwards, or keeps all of it. Roland looks like every single guy at a wrestling convention.
Yeah. And man, that name does not ring a bell with me whatsoever.
We're seeing two of the guys. One of the guys, Tony, and then Mike Modest, who had one match in WCW with Christopher Daniels. Are you aware of that match?
No, I'm not.
It was like, here's the two hot indie guys, and they brought him up as a way of kind of piggybacking off of this. And there's Mike Modest with a dead body. They brought him up, and Chris Daniels and Mike Modest tried to do too much in this match. And Christopher Daniels did a springboard off the top rope and landed on his head on a night. But he just popped right back up, you know. Speaking of which, what'd you think of that finishing move from on Daniel Bryan last night, huh?
Oh yeah, man, there was God. They're doing so much with his neck, and I'm cringing every freaking time, man. I wish I was in that guy's head. I wish I knew what he was thinking.
Now, this is like a real fight that breaks out at the indie show where somebody, I think, spits on him or throws something at him and curses at him, and the wrestler comes up. Is it kind of strange to you? I'm not saying wrestlers aren't tough guys, but you say so many times it's fake fighting. Is it strange to you that a lot of these quote-unquote fake fighters refer to themselves or think of themselves as tough guys?
Yeah, no, it really is, because that's my whole thing. Then go out there and fight for real. If you're as tough as you think they are, then let's make the matches real. Well, I don't understand what the problem is. Let's go out there and let's all make it real.
But at the same time, I was backstage with Bubba Ray Dudley a couple weeks ago, and he scares the holy crap out of me. And I'm not going to tell him he's not a tough guy because he would destroy me.
Yeah, but I think Matt, you know who the tough guys are and who's full of shit. I really think you know that.
So, are you saying Robert Strauss is not a tough guy? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know about Robert Strauss. I can tell you Robbie E's a wimp.
Dude,
but
look at
Robert Strauss is scary, bro.
Look at this slow-mo shot of Roland Alexander with his belly with the two wrestlers. It's time.
So what is it? They got them to work enhancement.
And, you know, I've heard from Robbie about this. You just get put on a list and they'll call you, or you keep bugging them and you can show up on your own. You don't need a Roland Alexander, so to speak, to come and let you, you know, be in the back and maybe get a dark match or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know here. I mean, WWE uses Rocky Mountain Pro here. I mean, Rocky Mountain Pro is always, you know, Matt Yaden. They're always the extras for the shows here in Denver.
I hear all these stories about, Robert Strauss and Zack Ryder and James Ellsworth and all these guys who would just come in and they would hope to be used. So now we're seeing them work in the ring. This is all for the cameras. There's no way they'd have two indie guys do a dark match at a house show, right? Yeah,
no. So much of this is for the camera, man.
Now, this is some of the scenes we like a lot is you just look in the background. There's The Rock and there's Val Venus.
Get that, Luna.
The star of the show, Roland Alexander. Golga, wow. Jim Ross. It is like a super.
Freaking like awesome.
It's literally a cross between a cosplay convention and the actual Justice League back there.
No, Matt, I told you, my first experience in a locker room was I had to do a story for the magazine as a freelancer. Look how young Bruce is. 1994, Matt, and I walked in the locker room. Tony Greer, you know, he was taking me around. And, bro, to see the baby faces and the heels sitting down playing cards together, like that blew me away. Because as much as I knew like it was a work and everything, to actually see that was like bizarro land.
You know, you don't want to know what you don't know, want to know, you know? And we're watching Roland Alexander seeing his two proteges. And look at Roland in the background behind Vince and Jim Ross. There's no way in hell Vince is taking his time at a Raw taping.
No way. This. No way in hell. No way in hell Vince would be watching this. No way in hell. JR probably wouldn't even be watching this, to be honest with you. Cornette would be watching it. Bruce would be watching it.
Cornette
but
and Bruce
Vince
love this
definitely
shit,
not.
right? They love it.
Oh, yeah. There's no way in hell Vince would be watching this match, bro.
Look at that tiny TV. Is that the way it used to be? You would all get around a tiny TV?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bro. Yep.
Now that move Mike Modest did, everybody goes, "Oh my God, that's a really crazy kind of move." But that's the first time I ever saw that move, and now we see people do that all the time, like Sheamus and a lot of other guys use that kind of. I'm not sure what the name of that is, but
yeah,
it's where you tuck someone behind your back and kind of slam them down unprotected on their neck and their shoulders. And Roland Alexander is in his glory now, isn't he? I mean, I'm a fat guy, but like to see someone like Roland, don't tuck your t-shirt in. I'm just saying, don't do it. And look at Jim Ross. It always seems funny to me, Jim Ross telling someone to work on their body,
Yeah. But you know what? That's the great thing about Jim Ross, Matt. He shoots straight with you, bro. He's shooting straight with these guys, whether he's hurting their feelings or they don't want to hear it or he's crushing all the hopes and dreams. He's shooting straight with them, and that's what they need to hear.
Yeah, I would say look how big Billy Gunn is when he walked by them. He's a giant.
See, now Mick would do this. Mick would do that as a shoot.
Because Mick remembers.
Yes.
Mick did a lot of shows where, more realistic, they would bring in these local guys to get the crap beat out of them. And, not just against Dynamite Kid, where we know he got his body broken, but a few other wrestlers he did some Challenge and Superstars tapings against. And now we're looking at the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Terry Funk. How much did you work with Terry Funk? I know you worked with him in the Chainsaw Charlie fiasco.
Yeah, no, I got to work with him at WCW too. I brought him in as a commissioner, so I got to work with him gosh, bro, I may have worked with him at TNA. I don't remember, but I worked with Terry quite a bit.
Now, I first became a Terry, as I told you, I think yesterday, as the Texan, the over-the-top cowboy character that would brand his opponents in WWF. But, of course, he's a former NWA world champion. And we're seeing so many wrestlers are like this.
Right there. Yeah, that's a shoot, bro. That's not acting.
It's like if you're in a hotel staying with a lot of wrestlers, there's almost like this ex-wrestler walk, It's
yep.
I saw Road Warrior Animal, and I didn't know it was him. He was wearing a hat, but you could tell he was kind of a guy who was jacked up. He was a little bit older, but he had that gait, that protected walking gait, that he didn't want to look like he was limping.
Yeah. All right, guys on Twitch, I got to cut this off, man. We gave you a half hour. You guys want to see the rest of this? Check out our Patreon page, bro. Patreon.com, Russo Kuhn with a K, TWC. I will see you guys later. Okay.
Terry Funk was a good-looking dude, man. Like, he could have been a babyface champion. He probably was like, this seems like babyface champion territory here.
Yeah. Terry Funk's the kind of guy, bro, he could do whatever you need him to do.
But wasn't that an issue that he would do anything? Like, he'd do these moonsaults. He would do, even when he worked with you had him do in these hardcore matches. Wasn't that kind of not the best thing for his body?
Well, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about, like, character-wise, pretty much. Not, bro, I'm not writing that shit, what he's doing in the ring. I mean, that's them coming up with that stuff.
We need to get that education out there so much, because I've heard it from so many people. Speaking of Vince Russo, he had them do this dangerous stuff. That is such a misconception, bro. That is such a misconception. That would be so disrespectful on my part to tell these guys how to work and what to do in the ring. Never in a million years, bro. Never. Not even if you were a young kid. I mean, not even if you were just breaking in. It's an honest misconception. I think by some of the writers who have some maybe purposeful misconceptions about you, and those misconceptions are so strong that maybe I'm getting ghosted now, and maybe someone else we're not going to name is getting ghosted now because of the way they feel about Vince Russo, because these misconceptions they have about you. Well, I see, bro, I got to be honest with you. I'm a writer. I don't know how they could think a writer is laying out wrestling matches. It's two completely different things, man. I don't understand the misconception, because it is two completely different things, man. The only reason I think
I mean, bro, Stephen King. He a perfect example. Stephen King writes Christine. Okay, they turn Christine into a screenplay. Stephen King's not telling the actors how to act.
Right.
It's the same thing. I'm writing a script. I'm not telling the actors how to act during their matches.
Hey, Terry Funk's doctor is Keith Hernandez of the New York Mets. Look at him.
Is that who it is? It's a Keith.
Hey, you bring up a good point. I will say here's how I can understand the misconception is because I believed it too. And I didn't necessarily believe it because of the writers. I just believed it because I thought that was just the way it was. Vince Russo was in charge of these companies.
Not at all, bro. Not at all.
Keith Hernandez was a doctor. I did not realize that. Who is your favorite baseball player of all time, Vince?
Willie McCovey just passed away.
I'm a little bit younger, and I was a Cubs fan growing up. So my guy was Ryne Sandberg. Do you remember Ryne Sandberg?
Oh, of course I do. But I remember way before Ryne Sandberg.
I served Willie McCovey lunch once.
Did you really?
Yeah, I worked for Anaheim Stadium. It was Old Timers Day. It was '89, the All-Star Game. And I had Willie McCovey at a table. I had Al Oliver at a table.
Oh, wow.
I had Ernie Banks at a table. And then I walked across the room, and I bumped shoulders with Joe DiMaggio.
Oh, my God. That's awesome, Matt.
Course,
that is awesome.
As a New York guy, you know Joe DiMaggio. He is
God.
That guy is he is the person that ex-wrestlers should look to, because DiMaggio did not play in the Old Timers game, did he?
No, he did not. No.
Because he was worried about his legacy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great story, bro. Jeez.
Isn't it great? There's a better part to it I've never told my son, but he doesn't listen to my podcast. But I was a busboy, and it was a Sunday, and on Sundays it was champagne brunch. So all of us 16-year-old kids would get drunk while we worked.
Yeah.
And so I was drunk.
Oh, God.
And I get out there, and it's Old Timers Day, and I'm like, Mr. Stargell, what would you like to?
Bro, that happened to me one time, bro. Believe it or not, I was high. This was one of the most surreal moments of my life. I was high. I ran into the basketball player, Manute Bol.
Holy shit.
Bro, you know what it is to be high and run into a guy that's 7'5", bro? And I'm standing there gawking at him like I can't figure out what I'm looking at. I'll never forget that, bro.
Manute Bol, that's great. If you guys don't know, Manute Bol was 7'6", and he weighed about 180 pounds.
Yes.
And so if you're really, 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 really high, you might think you see Manute Bol, you know?
Yeah. I swear to God, bro, it was so surreal. It was crazy.
Now, we're watching ECW do some promos. There's Bubba Dudley. I saw Tommy Dreamer. You want to talk about guerrilla marketing, dude. Those promos in the basement are insane.
Yeah.
There's Axel Rotten. And, of course, we know that and there's New Jack, drug use and Taz. Drug use was very common in the ECW locker room, and it was a party back there. Not necessarily a great party, but the leader of the party, Paul Lee, as you said yesterday on TWC, was really great at motivating his people.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt about it, bro. No doubt. I mean, Matt, at the end of the day, like, was it finances with them? I mean, is that what it was, bottom line?
Can I tell you what I think it is?
Yeah.
He's a guy like me and you. Ran by our passions, going full on, based on, not to be braggy, but talent and creativity, passion and hard work, but didn't have the organizational set, and also didn't have trust in people and enough to build that infrastructure underneath it. You know what I'm saying?
I got to tell you something, though, bro. Guys that really bought into Paul Lee, I mean, he was almost like God. Like, I'm telling you, one of those guys is Bubba. Bubba, I mean, hook, line, and sinker to this day. Bro, Bubba's promo is exactly Paul Lee's promo. Exactly the same.
So I was at the ECW arena, the 2300 arena, I think it's called now, in Philly on Swanson Street, and I was looking for this staircase. And there's my good friend Brian, the Blue Meanie. You know, it's insane to see where these guys are now. Does it ever surprise you to see what people actually had longevity in the business.
Yeah, no, it does. Now, is that Francine?
That is Francine.
Okay.
I've interviewed her twice. She's a mom. She has a cooking YouTube channel, and Francine is mad at me right now because I owe her a video that I have not gotten to work on because I'm too busy with Truth with Consequences.
See, now Terry Funk's a guy, he would not give a shit that they're filming a movie. Terry Funk, he could care less.
And I told a story on TWC yesterday about me seeing Terry Funk when I was an extra on Over the Top. And of course we have Sandman. Can I tell you, at ECW Arena, and they also did this at Ring of Honor a week ago, Sandman came out to his song with his cane, with the beer, still over like a mother. Still over.
I'm sure. God, bro, doesn't it, when you see how close these people are, like, you realize how freaking dangerous, you know what I mean?
You know, once again, I think it's like you and I would do. He's not a detail guy. Look at him. He's focused on the emotion. Paulie is focused on the emotion, the motivation. Look at, oh, God.
Did he land on barbed wire?
No, it's just the way he landed. And I put my hand up, and there was a shot of Terry Funk's wife making the same motion. And look at the wrestlers in the back too. Yeah, look at his wife.
That's what happens, bro. I talk about that all the time, bro. When they step between those ropes, they think they're invincible, bro. I talk about that all the freaking time. Bro, there was so many, bro. If I was involved in every single time the freaking guys laid out a match, bro, there is so much stuff I would have said no way. Like, just no way. You're not doing that, bro.
So the concerned look on Terry Funk's wife's face and daughter's face, that's something you see a lot from family members, right?
God, bro, I'm looking at this, and what does this make you think of? This makes you think of the wrestler with Randy the Ram. I mean, that's exactly what it makes you think of, bro. You know?
I was at a Ring of Honor show, and I ran into somebody whose name I'm not going to say, mostly because I don't like him. And his kids were wrestling, and the mother was there too. And I'm like, why aren't you watching? And as soon as I asked, the resentment I had towards this guy kind of went away because he was comforting his wife. She was crying because the kids, her kids were grown men and people you would definitely know were in the ring tearing themselves up. And, you know, she was crying and he was comforting her. It never ends for these family members.
Yeah.
Nothing makes you feel better than a nice cold Coors, right?
Yeah. That's one thing that used to piss me off, Matt. When I would work at Rocky Mountain Pro, these freaking guys would drink before and during the show. And that drives me freaking crazy. You want to drink after the show, drink after the show. Don't drink during and before the show, man.
Can I tell you, it drives me fucking crazy about musicians. If this is your job, if this is what you do, why can you drink and drug at your freaking job, right?
Yeah.
Just because it's music. What the fuck? Are you that good? Because guess what? You're not. Because I know a lot of Grammy-winning musicians. Like, personally, I know them well enough where we talk. I don't know not one, who drinks or drugs before the show. Not one.
I used to hate that. I used to freaking hate that.
I mean, my friend Joseph, who I'll tell you who he plays with, he's never had a drink or drug in his life, you know, and maybe that's why he's been the keyboard player for Steve Miller for 25 years, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
Joseph's amazing. If you ever see Steve Miller, he's the keyboard player. He's the black guy, and he does a solo on Fly Like an Eagle that gets people off their seats.
Oh, wow, that's awesome,
night.
Man.
Yeah, I wrote the foreword to his book.
That's awesome.
So Mick Foley, we're going to talk about this another time, but of course, when you talk about Mick Foley, you talk about the fall off the cage and the tooth coming through the nose.
You know what I talk about, Matt, seriously?
Go ahead.
Who loved the business more? I mean, seriously, if you really looked at who freaking loved, they all loved the business. Every one of them. They're obsessed with the business. But Mick Foley may have loved wrestling more than anybody else I ever met.
It's true. And if I have a favorite wrestler of all time, it might be Mick Foley. However, Vince, and you have this too to an extent, I have this too to an extent, there's an unhealthy thing there about needing validation and needing the crowd to applause for you, to think that you're so great that you need in your heart to feel good about yourself.
Yep.
People cheering for you, to the extent that no matter what the business becomes, the more you learn about it, you're still all about the business. When you think it's about fake wrestling, you're about the business. When you learn it's about cutting your forehead open, you're all about the business. When you learn it's about death matches, you're all about the business. It's an unhealthy thing, generally speaking, right?
Yeah, no, it definitely is, bro. It definitely is. I think Mick's father has since passed away. I think, God, he looked so much like him.
Mick Foley's a good-looking man, dude. You can see he could have been Dude Love if he would have gotten in shape.
Yeah. This is it. This is where we got Dude Love from, right here. That's where we got it from. That's it.
Do you remember the Raw that closed with Vince and Dude Love dancing together on
Yeah,
stage?
yeah, I do. Yes, I do.
I was there. I was in attendance. And that was when Mick Foley, ironically, faced Terry Funk in it was the first kind of Mick Foley match where he faced Terry Funk in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And there's your buddy Dave Meltzer. And,
There he is.
Terry Funk climbs up on the railing at the Richmond Coliseum and does a moonsault off the railing onto the floor.
Nuts.
And I thought the railing, it was one of those railings that you stick in to kind of hold its place.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to come out and he was going to die. Like they were.
Bro,
like
I
10
swear
feet
to
away
God,
from us.
I think the first time, Matt, I ever saw violence, and Arezzi reminded me of it, was when him and Eddie Gilbert had that best of. They wrestled 3 times in one night. You know what I'm talking about?
Eddie Gilbert and Terry Funk?
No, Eddie Gilbert and Mick.
WCW or ECW?
Oh no, bro! It was a small promotion, and I think that's the first time I actually got a taste of like hardcore wrestling.
How about Eddie Gilbert being ahead of his time, huh?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, he had the music, hot stuff. He had the hot girl with him.
I'm trying to figure out where he might be at.
Well, knowing Mick, I mean,
because he literally lived 15 minutes from me on Long Island.
did you happen to come across Dee Snider on your, like the way Mick did? Because I know he's in the same area.
Yeah, no, him and they're good friends. Him and Dish. No, they live very close to each other. I mean, they're practically neighbors.
And Mick
His wife was always beautiful. Nicole, right?
Oh,
No, not Nicole. What is it? It's not Nicole. It's
I'll remember.
God, she's beautiful. She was stunning. She really was. I just had it.
So this is something any father who likes wrestling can, wrestling.
I actually slept over Mick Foley's house one night. At that house, I actually slept over one night. I got to see the Christmas room and the whole 9 yards.
And so that's what do you call this body of water right here, New Yorker? What is that?
That's the ocean.
Yeah, fuck you, man. It's the ocean.
That's the ocean, bro.
But that
What was his wife's name again? Darn, why can't I remember? Now I'm that's embarrassing because I was around her so often. I can't freaking remember her name.
it's one of these things where when you Google it, you feel like a failure. But
I'm thinking it's like a Nick. Colette. I was thinking Nicolette, but I knew that wasn't it. Colette. Yeah, that's it.
And this is an old 80s kind of trick here for for movies where if you want to hear a message, you show a shot of the answering machine, and we see Undertaker throwing Mick Foley off the top of the cage. That's just. He landed perfectly. Thank God he landed the way he did. But nonetheless, it is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Look at him get that body in position. Look, boom. Yeah, my God, that was perfect.
And just the way his legs slid under. And I was watching that on pay-per-view at the time. and I basically shit myself. Like, and most people don't think about that second bump being so bad, but by all
that's
accounts, that second bump was. Go ahead.
Yeah, Francois was the first one in the ring. He was the guy that took care of the workers.
Francois was almost in the ring before he landed.
Yeah.
To this day, Mick Foley kind of says that wasn't on purpose because I think he doesn't want his wife to know to this very day.
Yeah, no, I know, because I've heard that, man. I've heard that a lot.
But, you know, he went up on one foot. That freaking cage swung like it was on a hinge. You know, like they walked everywhere else. I think it's obvious to me it was a planned spot. But I think Bruce Pritchard said it wasn't supposed to swing. It was supposed to get weaker and weaker, and then he would just fall eventually.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody would know, it would be Bruce. See, that's the thing. I don't know because I wasn't involved in that. Like I wasn't involved in it. I was watching that like everybody else.
But you didn't know Mick Foley was going to go off the cage?
Nope.
You didn't hear?
Nope.
Insult to injury is the chair hitting him in the face. But a lot of this is about the man, Mick Foley. When you talk to the man, Mick Foley, and then you see Mick Foley in the ring, is there a disconnect for you that you can't see that could possibly be the same person?
No, because he's just a sweetheart of a guy and always was, man. Always was, man.
And so now we start approaching one of the darker segments of.
Yeah. You know, bro, this is always tough for me to this day. Can I tell you why?
Go ahead.
And this is why I was hesitant to kind of watch this. You know why, bro? Bro, you never know if freaking Jake's telling the truth or he's working and bullshitting. You never know with him. Bro, he just did Rogan. Did you watch him on the Joe Rogan show, Matt?
I think we talked about this a little bit. He worked Rogan like a puppet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, come on. Like, bro, come on. A king cobra did not come out of the freaking toilet bowl and go up the guy's ass while he was sitting on it. It's like, that's the one thing. And I'm not saying he's a liar, but I'm saying it's like you never freaking know what's real and what's not real and what's a work. I mean, he's one of those guys, man, you know?
I learned just working in wrestling, like for instance on Twitter now, there are people that believe that I said Sami Zayn was better than Ric Flair because it's something Conrad likes to say that he thinks is funny, right?
Right.
And so when you think about wrestling and wrestlers, Tony Schiavone says everything's a work. So I go through things like everything's a work. Isn't that kind of the best way to approach it when dealing with wrestling?
Yeah, it is. It really is. It really is. And, bro, I'm sitting there and like Joe, I don't know if Joe Rogan was just working or he was buying everything he was saying, hook, line, and sinker, because I was sitting and I'm like, come on, bro. Like, come on.
Rogan is a smart guy. I think it was half and half where he was going, I don't want to call this guy out on a liar. And also
Jake's, probably. Yep, you're right, Matt. Yeah.
Jake's a little unpredictable. Did you see the DDP documentary?
Yeah. And that was another one. Like, bro, like my son works for Paige and, Jake and Scott come by there like all the time. You know what I mean? Bro, I actually had one car ride with Jake. And it was freaking phenomenal, bro. I mean, the knowledge this guy dropped in one freaking car ride was phenomenal. But you never know, like, what's freaking truth, what's exaggerated, what's bullshit. You just don't know, man.
It's a thing. A friend of mine, the wisest person I know, told me that where there's a strength, there's a weakness. On everybody, there's a flip side, right?
Right.
Jake Roberts is one of the most brilliant people in the history of wrestling. That's his strength. But his weaknesses are just as big as his strengths, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because it's not just the addiction, it's the emotionality, it's the damage he had as a kid. I mean, Scott Hall ribbed him so much about that dye job, he cried, punched his hand and almost punched a wall, almost broke it.
Yeah.
Indie wrestling fans, Vince.
Who are they talking about here?
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, Jake. Okay. Oh, my God. And I was at TNA. Remember when he came out at TNA? I was there that night, bro.
It's insane. believe it or not, I did a signing. There's another promoter, Ed Beckley, the promoter. We should all just get on a wrestling fan diet together. I think all of us.
Do you know, Matt, that he was one of the guys I had at my video store? And bro, let me tell you something. As a shoot, remember his wife Cheryl?
Yeah.
He brought her to my video store, bro. She was like kind of sitting at the counter with us while he was signing and shit. Bro, if any guy stopped to talk to her, he freaking stopped everything and just shot her a look, and you could tell it like put the fear of God in her.
I'm not laughing.
She was beautiful too. What a beautiful woman she was, right, bro?
Oh yeah. This is a pretty well-attended indie show, right?
Yeah.
And that there's a piss bucket behind in the backstage. That's not really the best facilities. And look at Jake. Head on the table, down. Do you think that they took advantage of Jake here in this movie?
What exactly do you mean, Matt? What do you mean?
Like maybe they told him, we're going to show you your life, but really they just wanted to show this damaged, addicted star past his prime, and they made him look like shit and gave him a bad edit.
No, I don't. I don't. I think Jake knew exactly what he was presenting. I don't think there's any question about it. I don't think so.
I went to a signing a couple years ago with Jake Roberts and had a conversation we might talk about. And you know who was working on that table with him?
Who?
His daughter that's in this movie. The estranged
Oh, really?
daughter.
Oh, that's good. Well, that's good.
And, man, this is not just a story of Jake Roberts. This is a story of so many wrestlers. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Jake Roberts reached a point where his physique got really good in WWE. He's been open about the fact he took steroids to get it there. But it's hard for a guy like Jake, who's not really a body guy or workout guy, to keep that physique going, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Jake's just hammered and putting a snake around a kid's neck. It's just... That girl has no idea how much danger she's in so many ways.
That's funny.
I went to a signing with Robbie, and I was on the other side of the table for the first time, and it's a weird view to see what us wrestling fans look like from the other side sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
This is always awkward. The star walking out and leaving and people bugging him, and he just wants to go on his way. He wants to go home,
Yeah, yeah.
But in this case, he wants to get his fix. How many, I know you say you were ignorant about a lot of stuff, but there must have been wrestlers you knew who were in the throes of addiction while you worked with them.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. No doubt, yeah.
Was Hawk one of those people?
Hawk, I'd say the top three that come to my mind immediately would be Hawk, Shawn, and Jeff Hardy, immediately.
But the lesson there is that, and we know people like this, that you can find your way out.
Yeah, you can, yep.
I know somebody who's a wrestler who's locked up right now, and somebody contacted me and said, hey, would you help me with a GoFundMe for this wrestler? And I said, well, hold on. What is he coming out to? Who's he going to be with? Is it going to be a better situation than him being in jail? And the guy said, oh, my bad. Maybe we shouldn't do this. Because, people sometimes aren't ready,
Right, yep.
And there's Grizzly Smith in a suit hitting a rock with a hammer. Do you believe Jake's story about him being conceived by his dad raping his mother when she was like a kid or something?
Bro, I swear to God, I never know what's fact or fiction when he's talking. I don't know. I honestly don't know, bro. Usually you could tell and you could figure it out, but with him you can't.
Something I'm very concerned about personally is the other night I shared a bit of my story on Twitch. And, a Jake Roberts to me is a cautionary tale because you don't want to just be all about that story. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to be all about the fact I had this bad childhood when you're 46 years old like I am or 56 like he is. It ends up being where your life's not about anything.
Yeah, I mean we're all a victim of our circumstances and our environment. Every single one of us, bro. I mean, you can't imagine what he went through growing up. You can't imagine it, bro. Only he can.
That's why when you say things like, say, you've talked about before, Bischoff calling you a piece of shit. You don't know what other people are going through. You don't know what their lives are like.
Yep.
If you want to be that person, that's fine. But try to be better than you should be and try to look at other people like you want people to look at you.
Yep. Everybody's the way they are for a reason. For a reason, bro.
But there's a certain amount of control we have over our destiny. Like, I know God, you believe God has a plan. But that plan might be very well for us to rise above our circumstances and our surroundings.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we could either use it as a crutch or we could either use it to not make the that's up to us.
Now, Jake is a guy who feels sorry for himself. And to this very day, in a lot of ways, when he talks, he feels sorry for himself. He will say, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. And then just tell you the most harrowing story of his youth. He's never going to be able to be not a worker, right?
No way, bro. No way, man. I mean, that's the whole thing. I'm going back to the wrestler movie. It could have been about Jake's life. I mean, that's. I believe it was probably modeled after that.
What kind of did you ever go on the road with WWE?
House show loops and stuff?
Ever?
No, I just did TV. No.
And same with WCW?
Yeah.
But when you were at TNA, you stayed in little crappy hotels, right?
No. When I was at TNA, man, we stayed at like the DoubleTree. It was really nice.
The DoubleTree has cookies.
Yeah, free cookies.
The cookies are fantastic.
Yeah.
That's why Tony Schiavone chooses the hotels he does, is because he wants the cookies.
The cookies, yeah.
It's a fact.
I don't blame him.
So now WWE, and look at China in her glory.
It's ridiculous. Look at that.
I would never have guessed she was a UN scholar and had served in the Peace Corps.
It's interesting, watching these guys. And I argue with you a lot about wrestlers today, but there's no arguing that the wrestlers then look like superheroes.
The wrestlers then look like they belong. They don't look like they belong today, man. That's my view and that's my opinion. A lot of times I feel like I'm watching wannabes. I just that's my opinion, bro. You don't like my opinion, don't like my opinion. I can't look at stars like this and then get excited about wrestlers I see today, man. I'm sorry, I can't. And there are many, many, many other people that can't.
But I think maybe I've opened your eyes, or your eyes have been open a little bit, or maybe you haven't said it. But even the wrestlers you've been tough on, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, those guys, with different characterization, different outfits, different characters, different angles, different approaches, those guys could easily be seen in a way where you think they belong.
Yeah, no, with characters. With characters. Sami Zayn is Sami Zayn. To me, does not belong. Kevin Owens as Kevin Owens, to me, does not belong. And they would not have those personas if I was writing TV. No way. I mean, look at a guy like whatchamacallit. What was the Holly guy?
Crash.
Not Bob Holly. The other Crash. Yeah, perfect example.
Aaron O'Grady.
Perfect example, bro.
That was an interesting character because it was like short man syndrome.
Yeah.
Now Spike Dudley, Spike Dudley's a school teacher at this point, and he is talking, smiling from ear to ear, with blood streaming down his face. What was your experiences working with Spike?
I got very, very upset with him one night, and I don't even want to get into it.
Was it about safety?
No, no, it was about he was drunk. That's what it was about. He had too much to drink, and he was saying things he shouldn't have been saying.
That's like the number one reason not to drink. Like people,
Yeah, exactly.
people joke with me. Like I went to Conrad's bachelor party. I didn't get drunk, and they're like, "What's up with you, Matt? You don't drink?" I'm like, "Can I tell you? You don't want me to drink, and I don't want me to drink because the minute I start drinking, I'm going to tell people to go f themselves, and it's not going to be a good thing."
Yeah, nothing good comes out of drinking, bro. Nothing. Zero.
Like when people smoke weed, they just get chiller, right? And
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You don't you don't start a fight because you're high.
No. No.
Unless it's the last Cheeto.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to read a little bit from Meltzer here. He said, Beyond the Mat finished its 1 week Oscar qualifying run on October 28th. I actually did go and see it in the theaters. Meltzer goes on to say several WCW employees on location for its own movie went this week and all liked it. Charles Robinson, I believe, who was the only one who thought Wrestling with Shadows was better. The general consensus was that it goes without saying Eric Bischoff was an idiot not to allow WCW any presence in it. WCW would not allow Blaustein to film anything involving the company unless the company had editing power over what aired. McMahon, who was number 2 at the time the movie was being filmed, cooperated fully. In a weird irony, one of the people featured early on was Darren Drozdoff, and if there's a national release or television release at some point, the movie would almost have to be updated to talk about his unfortunate incident, which it did.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, bro, and this is the same thing with that whole Kiss thing. You know, they went to Vince first. Gene Simmons went to Vince first. Gene Simmons turned that down, and Eric Bischoff wound up doing that. Well, so it's kind of weird, bro. You turn this down, but yet we're going to make, the rock group Kiss wrestlers. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, and how about Bischoff? I mean, how about Goldberg took batting practice swings with Mark McGuire, and they didn't get any publicity out of it? There's all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Now, have you ever met or do you have any dealings with one Jerome Newjack?
Bro, he loves me for some reason. For some reason, he's like a big Vince Russo fan, man. Thank God I never got on his bad side. But every time, he says something about me, he's always putting me over. I've met him on a couple occasions, and I really enjoyed being around him. I didn't have to work with him. I'm not saying I was not in circumstances or situations where I worked with him. I'm just talking about, hanging out with him, meeting him and stuff. And I thought he was a cool dude.
Now, this is another one of those, kind of things we talk about the ECW, TWC, where we see draws somehow in ECW. Interesting about New Jack is that one of the people... Bruce Mitchell wrote articles about New Jack, cutting this youngster, and it almost cost, and the pay-per-view companies became aware of it. It almost cost ECW their first pay-per-view. So when the first pay-per-view started, the ECW faithful were chanting "Fuck Bruce Mitchell."
Oh, jeez. Do you know what his background is? Not Bruce, New Jack?
No, I don't.
Man, I'd love to know what his background is.
Here's a funny thing, postscript to that story, Bruce Mitchell ran across New Jack. They live in the same town. But
really?
New Jack does not know what Bruce Mitchell looks like, luckily for him. So this scene is totally bullshit, right? This casting director scene?
Yeah.
Like, she's like, I can't see him being Denzel, but like he could be Denzel's best friend. I'm like, yeah, but what do you do about he can't? I mean, this is bullshit. This is terrible.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff set up in this movie, man. Now that I look at it, I could see it.
Like these,
but you got to work it. I mean, it's like any reality show. You got to work it a little bit.
These casting directors look like they're out of central casting themselves as like douchebag Hollywood types.
Yeah.
I love it. He's like, he could be Denzel's best friend. You know, he could be. And Barry Blaustein is being worked right now by New Jack. No?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's like, we really get along. We're really friends. We really. And there's Terry Funk announcing his retirement. Is that surprising you, considering he was a champion for you many years later?
Yeah, no, that's not surprising.
You ever been to Cauliflower Alley?
You know, I was just thinking that, man. No, because I've been asked to go by some people that run it, but I'm like, they don't freaking want Vince Russo at Cauliflower Alley, man. You know, that they don't want me there.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I've always wanted to go. If you ever go, I'll go with you. We'll go together, and we can just be hated together by all the writers.
Yeah.
And maybe it'd be a good thing for you to kind of, show your face a little bit and let people know the guy that I know who's Vince Russo, not just the guy on TV.
You know, Matt, that's the thing, bro. It's like I always hate doing all of that shit. But then when I wound up doing it, I feel good about it afterwards. It always happens that way. I don't want to go. I'll come up with every excuse not to go. I'll dread going. I'll hate it on the plane. And then when I get there, by the time I leave, it was a good experience, you know?
How much? Oh, no, well, we'll talk about this in a second. As we see the breakout star of Beyond the Mat, no doubt about it, Dennis Stamp is the breakout star of this, and of course it's set up. Why would they be at his house while he's on the trampoline with the baby weights?
Yeah, I don't even remember this. I don't even know who this guy is.
Okay, so Dennis Stamp is a guy, he wrestled a little bit, and he's always prepared. He's always wanting to wrestle again. He's always wanting a shot, and he completely guilts Terry Funk into letting him ref the main event. It's one of these scenes where Terry comes off like a really good guy, and this guy comes off like an insecure worker type,
Yeah.
But he's like a local Terry Funk guy, but he's it shows him on the trampoline jumping up and down, lifting little barbells, saying, I always stay ready, Why would you ever leave that ranch?
I know, man. I wouldn't.
And there's Paulie and Bubba and Shane. Here it goes. Is this how you stay in shape, Vince?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I do, bro. Jeez.
And he's serious. He's like dead serious. He's like, you never know when I'll need to get the old toupee out and make another run. All in all, not in bad shape for a guy's age. Maybe it works. So you don't remember this scene? This is one of the most...
Not at all. I don't remember this at all.
So the scene is Terry Funk's like, you coming to my retirement? And Dennis Stamp, who apparently is his friend, going, I can't come, Terry. I'm not booked. If I'm not booked, I don't come. If you had me in your main event, that'd be one thing.
Yeah.
But I can't come if I'm not booked. And Terry's heartbroken. He's like, don't say that, man. Come on, I want you there. I want you there, man. He's like, Terry, I'm not booked, so I can't come. You know the way it is, which is bullshit, right? Because guys hang out all the time. And Terry's just like, he's crestfallen in a way, and you can see the little shitty look on Dennis Stamp's face going, I've got my friend over a barrel here.
Everybody's a worker, bro. Everybody's a worker. Everybody's working everybody, man. Everybody's working everybody.
I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but I mean, fuck Dennis Stamp for this, because this is Terry Funk. Is
he dead? Is the guy dead?
He just passed away.
Okay.
I don't know if he was buried with his weights or not, but fuck him for this, because this is Terry Funk's retirement match. They have WWE and Bret Hart coming in, and this guy feels entitled to blackmail his friend, emotionally blackmail his friend.
Yeah, he's making it about him, bro. That's pathetic.
And Terry's walking away. He doesn't understand. He's just come. You're invited. Your name's on the list. Come on. And jeez. And look at Terry walk. Look at it. He's got.
Yeah, look at that.
If he was a dog, you would say he had hip dysplasia.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal because this is kind of an indie place, but they're actually going to the trouble of spray painting the ring posts and putting up the lights. So this is a WWE kind of setup, I think.
Yeah. He's there. There he is.
Well, you know why he's there?
No.
Because he gets to ref the main event.
Oh, jeez.
And Terry's so glad he's there. I mean, who does that to their friend, really?
Yeah.
I mean, besides every wrestler ever.
Yeah.
Man, Terry should have really gone forth with that Hollywood thing. He was in Roadhouse. He was in, of course, Over the Top.
Yeah.
He was good in everything he was in. Look at young Tommy Dreamer. Tommy is going to bust your download records for why it ended. Do you know that?
Is he really?
Yeah. What's up with that?
People love Tommy Dreamer, man. Everybody loves Tommy Dreamer.
It's funny, he only scowls at me. I don't think he likes me, but I like him a lot. He's one of the greats.
Yeah.
Sabu and Mick Foley and Bill Alfonso in the ring. And here comes the Funk family to watch what they certainly know is not going to be Terry Funk's last match. And
oh, shoot. Why do I got why does stupid ad come on my gimmick?
You got to add?
Yeah. Hold on.
So I'm going to pause. And we're going to keep this rolling as we talk about this. This is a huge crowd for a show.
Right now I'm at Terry Funk getting his blood pressure taken.
What minute and second are you on so we can give a time?
Right now I am at 102.15.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Now I'm seeing Sabu and Mick.
Okay, so 102.15. I'm going to get there. And then we'll
102.23.
23?
Now I'm seeing the ref.
What number are you on right now?
102.35.
102.35.
Ring announcer in the ring.
Okay. I'm at 102.41, 42. Is that good?
I'm at 102. Yeah, we should be right there.
All right. So we're seeing the triumphant Terry Funk, and look at Dennis Stamp, and look at Dory.
Dory. Is Dory's still alive, right?
I think so. I was never really a Dory guy,
Yeah.
It was interesting in WWF at the time. They didn't bring him in as Dory Funk Jr. They brought him in as Haas Funk.
Yeah. I had to work with him a lot at TNA because he was doing developmental stuff, Dory.
I was on a podcast recently where they rebook stuff, just trying to help people out and be on their podcast. So I chose to rebook WrestleMania 2. And do you remember WrestleMania 2?
A little bit.
They had 3 different areas.
Locations.
So my main event in Chicago was the Funks beating up Andre all the way leading up to it. And the Funks versus Andre and William the Refrigerator Perry is the main event.
Oh, my gosh. Nice.
Right? Instead of him being in the Battle Royal. Look at Bret Hart in his day taking on Terry Funk. You and I have about the same feelings about Bret Hart. We watched him rise, and it took us a while, both of us, to kind of see him as this main eventer. And now that we did see him as a main eventer, he came by it honestly.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely, man. I'll sometimes Bret says some stuff about me, which is fine. I will never, ever stop respecting Bret Hart. I don't care what he says about me.
I mean, Bret Hart is the only guy I know that can make jorts work, So
yeah.
I got to say, and Bret Hart. Bret Hart had great cardio, but actually, this is Terry talking, and Terry's giving his retirement speech. How hard is it for these guys to stay away, Vince?
Oh God, they can't, man. They can't.
You can't.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I can, bro. Yeah. Trust me, I can. Yes, I could turn this off tomorrow. I know I could. I could turn this off tomorrow and never go back, man. That's a shoot.
So Tony, right? Schiavone.
Yeah.
He was kind of like where you're at, right?
Right.
And he sincerely said the same stuff you say. Sincerely, it wasn't bullshit.
Right.
But man, the hop in that guy's step now that he's been accepted and warmly appreciated, and people didn't hate him as much as he thought, and the fact he's people give ascribe a lot of credibility to him. The fact he's back has brought joy to his life. Do you think if you had that kind of,
it'll never happen?
well,
You see that. You see that, bro. You thought this show was going to open the door to every dirt. You see how they are, bro. You see how they are. It's never going to happen, so that'll never change.
the sin of working with Vince Russo
Yep.
is certainly worse than the sin of doing a podcast with someone who has sex with children, or somebody who does racist tirades and threatens writers with a baseball bat. It's certainly worse because Vince, you booked Judy Bagwell on a pole.
Yes, exactly.
You bastard.
Matt, why would who hated Tony Schiavone?
Tony Schiavone got a lot of shit from the fans. Tony Schiavone got a lot of shit.
About what?
Butts in the seats. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So, like, Bischoff fed him those lines when Mankind won the title.
Oh, and he gets heat for that?
Forever he got heat for that.
Oh, God.
A lot of it was Tony putting it on himself. That, you know the way Tony is, right?
Yeah.
Tony doesn't like his work. Tony doesn't think he's good. Tony thinks, that...
he's nuts.
He's lucky to be involved. Tony thinks all these things, which is crazy because, and it doesn't matter how many times I tell him he was the voice of my youth. He's still like, oh, that's silly,
Yeah.
I would do. If Tony could call me today, I would do anything for Tony Schiavone.
Is he still doing the Braves?
No, but he does. He does the Gwinnett Braves, I believe.
Yeah, is he still doing them?
Yeah, he does all kinds of shit. He does football and and then this Patreon, and the T-shirts and the stuff with Conrad and live shows. Tony is very busy, and he's lost a lot of weight, and he's just one of my favorite people on the planet.
Yeah.
This is something that any of us that had parents that we didn't necessarily, we felt we got the short thrift with our parents. We can empathize with this poor young lady here who's written like a scrapbook about the way her dad has treated her, and her dad basically doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and this is Randy the Ram, and it's sad to see this girl in the movie because not everybody, a lot of people in this movie are all freaking workers, and she's sincere, and she has no idea, like everybody else is a worker and not sincere. It's sad.
And yeah, I mean, as someone who knows my dad will never be who I want him to be, and who's at the other end of the phone when he's there if I want him, but sometimes you reach a point and you're like, this dude is not what I needed him to be, and he's not really someone I need, but this girl still needs her dad in her life, but she knows that she's going to be disappointed again, and it's sad.
It is sad. It's very sad.
Sad enough for you to yawn.
Yeah. No, I took the same thing out of the Flair documentary. He had all these regrets, and he's doing the same exact thing. He never learned from those regrets. Wrestling is still number one in his life, and it blew me away. It blew me away. He talked about it and talked about it and talked about it, and he's the same exact guy today.
I was at a Pritchard Live show, and they were telling Flair stories, and they told a story about him coming out of one of those, the baggage claim gimmick thing.
Yeah.
I can't believe I said gimmick thing, but, but he came through the curtain, and he was naked, laying down on it.
Oh, God.
And
I believe that.
He had a balloon tied to his dick.
I believe that.
So I'm sitting next to one of his children while this story is being told.
Oh, geez.
We go outside to smoke cigarettes, and I'm like, do you get used to that? And this person's like, yeah, I'm used to it. It's like, I've heard it a million times. I've heard so many Ric Flair stories. But this near-death experience that he's had changed him. Ric Flair today is a different person. Cross around his neck. He's sober because he has to be. And he is, sometimes it's not too late. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Hello. Maybe he
I mean, I don't know. I've never met Ric Flair, but I believe that his relationship with his kids is better than it's ever been. I believe that. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no. I mean, I would think a near-death experience. I mean, if that doesn't change things, nothing will.
Now, this is an interior shot of my house. And of me, I'm a little bit heavier than her, but I know for a fact that was her I saw working the table. So I don't think this was a work, but I do think that they patched things up eventually through his sobriety.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
So I've told this story on a Patreon before, but I talked to Jake. I always take an opportunity. When I talk to a wrestler, I ask a question I've always been curious about. That's what I think makes me a good podcaster. And I said, dude, that promo you did with on DiBiase, where he goes, you wallow in the pit, a victim of your own avarice, like it was just badass. And so I'm like, where did you get that? And he goes, I don't know where that fucking shit just comes from. It was in my head and I said it. And I was like, that's what genius is. Yeah,
yep, I agree.
But if he can make up something like that, he can make up something to tell Joe Rogan, right?
Yep.
It's the same muscle. And did you watch The Sopranos?
Oh, yeah.
So, when Melfi realizes that Tony is beyond help towards the end?
Yeah.
And, her doctor friend, the director who played the other doctor, kind of, hips her up to the fact that he's a sociopath and it's like all this stuff, quick to tears, sentimental, always doing stuff and saying sorry. That's what I think about when I see Jake the Snake Roberts here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, very much so, bro. Very much.
Did you want it to go? I guess I wanted that walked in.
What was that line? Cunnilingus and something else brought us all to this. Like it for The Sopranos. Best show ever. What's your favorite Sopranos episode?
Oh, geez. When they got lost in the woods looking for that Russian dude.
I can even tell you the name of that episode.
What is it?
Pine Barrens.
That was it. That was freaking awesome.
That was perfect, right? The fact that the phone didn't work, and everything.
So good.
And then also when Tony calls him and says, dude, this guy's a fucking warrior. He's going to hide in the bushes and kill you guys. Like, it adds an element, I'll never forget the other scene of the Pine Barrens when Stevie Van Zandt takes out Christopher's girlfriend to kill her.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah.
She's crawling.
Oh, yeah, that was,
And I'm not saying Jake the Snake is not sincere in his thoughts here, but you have to do something about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Of course.
With him a few hours later.
And I'm not judging him. I'm just saying I could easily be a bad father. Easily. But when you're a parent, you have to be better than yourself. You have to be better than your surroundings.
Yep.
And, you're not a prisoner to the way you're raised. That's up to you.
Yep.
And you can fix this stuff. But now they're showing Jake's real issue now where he's fucked up. He's on drugs. Were there any wrestlers that you ever had to actually stooge on because you didn't think they were safe to be in the ring because they were too impaired?
No, bro, that's not my place, man. That's not, bro. I'm telling you, like, that's the thing. People don't freaking know me. Like, I had so much respect for their craft. That's not my place, man. I would if that were the case, I would let the agent handle it because the agent was usually one of the boys,
For sure. You don't consider yourself one of the boys?
No, hell no.
Eric Bischoff, who hates you, on 83 Weeks once said he hated the fact that you always said the boys in the back. Anybody who says the boys in the back, man, that guy's got this irrational hatred of you that you can't even explain.
That's what everybody calls them, the boys.
How terrible does it sound when someone like me says like the boys or gimmick or over or popped or any of that wrestling terminology?
That doesn't bother me at all because like I'm used to. I mean, my kids use that. You know what I mean? Like I'm used to that. That doesn't That doesn't bother me at all.
What is the most accurate, common, usable wrestling term in real life?
It had been 6 months since I last saw Mick.
I think gimmick, bro, because when you can't think of the name of something, just call it a gimmick.
For me, I think the best thing is something that you can't describe any other way. And I've never found a better way to say work yourself into a shoot
Yeah.
than work yourself into a shoot. Like, you know, with kids sometimes, you know, when they get upset and they're having a tantrum, but then they actually get upset, they're working themselves into a shoot.
Yeah. Bro, you know the Vince Russo action figure's coming out, bro.
I'm getting one, that's for sure. I need to get a figure for everybody I've worked with, you know.
Yeah,
and,
I'm looking forward to that. I've never had one. God, his wife was so pretty.
Mick's a stud, dude.
Yeah, he is. No doubt. And his kids are beautiful, man. Bro, I swear to God, I had Dewey on my show once. Dewey's freaking booking ideas and writing ideas were freaking brilliant. That's the thing about the WWE. There are people there that can do it, but they are so freaking buried. Like I've had conversations with Dewey Foley. This kid knows what he's doing. Obviously, JB knows what he's doing. I mean, there are people there that can do it, but will never, ever break the system.
Now, this system, we talked about it recently with The Rock. We're going to save our Mick Foley show because we're definitely going to do one. But they're going over the match. They're going over the I Quit match. Now, the understanding is...
Oh, wow. Look at that. Yeah.
You know, and
you see what I'm saying? This is how they go over the match. You're seeing it right here. The writer, me, you're nowhere near it, man. That's what they do. There's Francois again.
I've seen the indie guys go over matches before, and it's a fascinating thing to watch two veteran guys kind of say, "Okay, here's what's going to happen." It's amazing.
Yeah. That's where you let them do their thing. It's like, you know, my art and my craft is writing the show. Their art and their craft is performing. I mean, that's it.
Isn't wrestling, dude, all about the kids, really? To this very day, shouldn't it be about the kids? Like all these kids with smiling faces and wrestling shirts on?
Yeah. That's Noel, right? Is that Noel?
Yeah, those two are in the wrestling industry. Those two little kids that we're looking at, Dewey and Noel, are in the wrestling industry right now. Isn't that insane?
Look how young Rock is, huh?
Yeah, they're doing this backstage interview with him, and I mean, it's pretty amazing. You know, to see how far he's come. I mean, we knew he'd be great, but did we know he was going to be the biggest star in the world? I think not.
Oh, is this when we're going to see the reaction of the kids?
Oh, it's the worst thing ever.
I don't even want to watch this.
Well, I'll watch it for you. And, you know, this Mick Foley has expressed regret about this as a parent.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're making a point to have The Rock come out and talk to them. And, you know, so that they know, you know, the kayfabe is truly not a thing. Look at Steve Austin. Now, did he stop and say hi because of the family or because he saw a camera?
No. Steve's genuine. No, he don't give a shit that a camera's there. No, not Steve.
I don't know if I ever cheered for a wrestler louder than Stone Cold. Even as a young 21-year-old Mark, I was just like, dude, that guy, that was electricity. I can't say honestly, Vince, that I've felt any more electricity in a building than when Steve Austin was there.
Yeah, when the glass broke, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It wasn't, as you would say, it wasn't the wrestling. It was,
man.
Here comes Steve
it's
Austin.
Funny,
what's going to happen?
You can see, Matt. You could see how uneasy Colette is. You could see how uneasy she is. This is where Stephanie's in training, right there. That's exactly what I talk about. She's sitting right next to Vince and Gorilla. She's in training here, just like she would shadow me and Ed.
She's going to fire almost everybody within her sight at some point.
Yeah.
And look at Mick Foley doing crunches. What's that about?
Yeah, no, that surprises me.
And Vince is in the gorilla position then, and he's in the gorilla position now.
Yep. You saw him the last couple of days, right?
Yeah.
Does it surprise? There's Ed, Fast Eddie Ferrara. There he is.
The goatee and all.
See, and that's exactly what they would do. Rock is running the promo by Ed. That's what they do. They run the promo by us. If we want to throw our 2 cents in, we do. But that's how it works. You're seeing it right there.
And you get better
that's
and better.
See, boom.
And you were going to ask me about Vince Alaska. Oh, look at Terry Taylor.
Terry, yeah. Are you surprised Vince hasn't gotten any work done?
I think he's had a little work done.
On his face?
I think so. I think his eyes and his definitely.
You
his
think
hair.
so, Matt?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh wow! Oh, look at Bruce! My God, he looks so freaking young.
I mean,
Bruce was great at the gorilla position. See, that's the thing, bro. These guys can tear me apart all they want and not give me credit for nothing. I will never do that to them ever. Ever. I know how good they were at certain things, man.
We've never talked about Doc Hendricks, Michael P.S. Hayes. What was your relationship like with him?
No. I don't think he thought highly of me.
I mean, if Cornette didn't get you, Hayes is cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the way that Michael Hayes dresses in 2018?
No, I have not seen him lately.
Go ahead and meander a couple pictures. He wears, you ever seen like the HBO pimp specials?
Yeah.
He wears like suits like that, like
Does he really?
All pink suits with like a fedora. And then he clips his mustache the same as he does there, where there's room between the nose and the top, but he's a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
But he pulls it off because Michael Hayes is cool. I'm sorry, but he's cool. But there's a great story. You're Brian Gewirtz, you know?
Yeah.
You know, he's Jewish, you know? And he tells a story like Michael Hayes, like, y'all celebrate Thanksgiving? y'all celebrate Thanksgiving? Okay.
Wow, look at Mick, the sign of the cross. I did not know that.
There's a story of Brian Gewirtz ribbing Michael Hayes on the plane, where Michael Hayes was complaining he wanted to be home, and Gewirtz started to get an impression of him saying, I want to put my head on my little Freebird pillow and put on my little Freebird blanket and sleep in my little Freebird house.
Yeah.
And Hayes comes up to him and goes, look at me. Look at these eyes. This look means I hate you. So
you could tell Colette is so freaking uncomfortable. You could tell.
That appears to be Dave Hebner in the ring, no? Or is that Earl?
I didn't see it.
Are you aware that Dave Hebner lives like half a mile from me?
I did not know that. No.
Yeah. He knows me as the music guy who's also a wrestling fan. He's a little bit older than Earl, and the nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
Super nice.
Both of them.
So here's the first bump, and I think we get a reaction shot, and the kids are like, what's going on? And here's the thing with Colette, too, is that the kids are feeding off of her reaction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. See how you could tell how concerned she is.
It's a little bit like when she grabs Noelle here. It's a little bit like when you are walking your dog and you tighten up the leash.
Yeah.
And they feel it and they start reacting.
I mean, bro, does somebody actually think a writer is writing that? I mean, come on, man. Like seriously.
So you see the guardrail right there? Oh,
man.
That's exactly what Terry Funk did the moonsault off of. He stood on the top of it and did it. It was insane. And look at little. She's like, I'll never do this. I'll never be involved. How tempting do you think is it for these younger kids of wrestlers to be involved in wrestling?
How what?
How tempting is it for them?
I mean, I think it just depends on the person. My kids would never have wanted to have anything to do with it, man. Nothing.
Now look at Blaustein going for the juxtaposition.
Oh, yeah.
Mick Foley, the dad, the emotional manipulation by a quality director. Nobody in the back is smiling. They're just watching. Now they've moved on these days. Instead of the regular handcuffs, they go with the long chain handcuffs. Matthew and I always joke about the long chain handcuffs.
Yeah.
This is probably why. Colette is freaking out, and her kids are feeding off of it, and they're freaking out. Noelle's crying. Dewey is upset. And look at little Stephanie back there. I wonder what flipped the switch with Stephanie, because she doesn't seem like the Stephanie we know today.
I don't know what flipped this. I don't know today, Stephanie, man. I don't think I want to know her.
People grow up, people get older, people become adults. Here comes the first chair shot. Jesus Christ. Colette is now beside herself. You know, I want to say they might not be in the front row if not for this movie. What do you think? Oh, my God.
I think that was a bad call on Big's part, man.
This is hard to watch, even if the kids weren't there. Even if the kids weren't there and the family wasn't there, this is tough to watch. And they're out. They're leaving. It's time to go.
Oh, Jesus, man.
That's like that same kind of...
That's worse than I remember, man. That's worse than I remember.
And I mean, Mick Foley is such a good human being. He has so many moments in this movie and also later where he goes, I failed as a dad here. I failed as a dad. You know?
Yeah.
And they're still watching on the screen because how do you not look?
But, bro, that's how freaking wrapped up they get in it, Matt. That's how wrapped up they get. It becomes more important than everything, man. I've seen it happen with so many people. Bro, I reached that point one time. Do you know when I reached that point when I had to say to myself, like, what the F is wrong with me?
Spear?
I
Goldberg?
actually asked Kevin Nash to cut me once. And when I realized I had asked Kevin to cut me, I said to myself, like, what the F is wrong with you, bro? Seriously.
But
see, that's what he wants. That the boys cheering for him.
But can you say?
But you know what, Mick can watch all this today, and he would tell you the same exact thing.
Bruce and Conrad.
He would tell you the same thing.
Bruce and Conrad did a watch along of this, and they had the same reaction we did. As people, as fans, you know these people personally. I am someone who works with children for a living, and I'm a parent, and my reaction is from that standpoint. Mick Foley knows. See, Mick Foley's self-aware, so he knows this is all about him, and he knows he fucked up. He knows it.
Yeah, but Matt, isn't it strange to you that the first thing he doesn't do before seeing the kids in the back is wipe the blood off his face? Doesn't that kind of that would be the first thing I would do before I saw the kids?
But Vince, let's be fair. Dude has a concussion for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That right there is a great point, Matt. I'm not thinking that. Oh my God, did you see that? You're absolutely right, Matt. He doesn't have his wherewithal. Absolutely correct.
Because you don't build up a resistance to concussions. You don't. You build a scar on your brain.
Did you see that gash? Jesus.
But he came by the gash honest. What a cute little kid. I was just charmed for a second. He came by that gash honestly by getting hit super hard with a fucking chair. He's
out of it.
Oh, look at her doing the Stepford wife gimmick, huh? Everything's fine.
She must hate this, man. She must absolutely hate this. Oh, God.
And look at the boys. The boys coming up.
Yeah, good shit. Good shit, bro. He got hit in the head 30 times. Great shit.
A normal person who's not a fan, who doesn't have investment in Foley, doesn't have investment in WWE or Vince, doesn't have no Vince from a hole in the ground, they're watching this going, wrestling is fucked up, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm watching Daniel Bryan last night saying that. I'm saying the same thing 20-something years later. I'm watching AJ with the neck breaker and this with the neck and that with the neck and this with the neck. And I'm like, what the F is wrong with you, bro?
We're just taking a moment because we're just watching them wrap gauze around Mick Foley's head as his wife lovingly looks on, and he's joking around. And you don't realize how traumatic this is for a kid, that even though he's cleaned up, he's still got a shirt that is completely covered in blood. Holding his daughter's hand, walking down the road, walking down the hallway, all the wrestlers telling him, great job. Look at Road Dogg. He knows where the camera is. So what's the purpose of showing Vince getting stitched up here? It seems a little purposeful.
Just as tough. He's just as tough as the boys.
I won't do anything. I will do anything I ask the boys to do. Right?
Yep.
And Vince also is a slave to that kind of, I want to be a badass. I want to be respected by the boys too, right?
Yep.
Is it true that Vince got in the dumpster when they did the dumpster spot to test it out?
Yep.
He also did the Shawn Michaels entrance on the zip line.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I love it. And that's
it's screwed up, man. It's so screwed up, man. The stuff these guys do for the love of it, it's borderline obsession, man.
Now Mick Foley is watching it back, and he's realizing, I want to say this was a pivotal moment in Mick Foley's life, because very few times he's had to watch. He's never seen this before in his life, like this kind of view. He's sitting in his house watching his wife and kids' reaction, and he's having a very visceral reaction to it.
I don't feel like such a good dad anymore. Felt very guilty.
Is this the most powerful scene in the movie, you think?
Oh yeah. It puts everything in its perspective, bro. He just talked about his priorities, you know.
But his wife kind of has that same 1,000-yard stare that Terry Funk's wife has, which is, heard it before. This is what I married. I love him, but I've got to deal with this.
Yeah, nothing's worth that. Nothing. I will never do that again.
Is this one of those things that makes you kind of ashamed you're in the wrestling business?
It's not ashamed. It's sad. Like, it's just sad, bro. It's just sad how it's like, and again, bro, it just goes back to a lot of the stuff that I do today, how this stuff is just so important to them. And in the grand scheme of things, it don't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit.
Now,
That's the thing, man, you know?
Right, it doesn't add up. You don't get residuals for how many chair shots you took. You don't get money for that.
Yep.
And now we're getting kind of the wrap-up of the movie where they're talking about Tony Jones and talking about Mike Modest and showing Terry Funk playing with his dog and Jake Roberts shooting a game of pool in a bar. What did you think of this movie when you saw it?
The Draws never made it as pure. He did go on to become a regular in the WWE. Paul Heyman and ECW, they're still hanging in there. Recently signing a deal with the Nashville Network to produce a weekly wrestling show.
Wow, so they weren't even on TV at that point, huh?
No, not TNN. I mean, by the time they got to ECW, got to TNN, they were. It was over. It was over already in a lot of ways. So now we get the closing shot. Have you ever seen this match he's watching, Jerry Lynn versus RVD?
I don't think so.
We're gonna have to watch it. You'll hate it. And he's tying it all together. Carney's like the promoter. Tragic Stales like Jake Roberts. Watching it then, what did you think about it? And watching it now, what did you think of?
Well, they let him see. Vince, even though Vince gave them carte blanche, he let them see what he wanted them to see. You know what I mean? I mean, bro, if you're going to do a real documentary on wrestling, you're watching The Wrestler. I mean, The Wrestler is so real to like that underbelly of professional wrestling that you really don't see here. Vince, at the end of the day, they told the stories they wanted to tell at the end of the day.
Closing credits. Word is Vince was not happy. There were some legal maneuverings after the movie came out. Unfortunately, Vince signed the release, and there was nothing he could do about it. If you were watching that movie, I believe Vince saw it as a hit piece on him. Would you see it the same way?
As a hit piece on him, meaning what?
You know, it didn't. I think he wanted it to show. You know, you take all that footage, you have a choice of the story you're telling, right?
Yeah.
So you could have told a variety of stories. You could have told the Mick Foley is a family man story without showing, you know, the blood, the violence, the non-sports entertainment aspect that Vince loves to kind of amplify throughout the masses.
Well, what story did we tell? I mean, what do we walk away from this with? It's hard for me to say because I'm looking at this and a lot of what you're walking away with is bullshit. I know that because I was there and I was a part of it, but I don't know what the regular viewer walks away with. I don't know. What do they walk away with?
So I'm trying to take myself back. I saw it in the movie theater. It was me and my friend Brian Lashley, and we there was like two other people in the theater, and I remember walking away thinking, man, wrestling is messed up. Wrestling is tragic. Even though there was stuff that was set up, as much as Blaustein was worked by New Jack and Vince and Mick and Jake and all that, he got enough footage to tell his story, which was a completely well-rounded story about the enticement of wrestling, why people get into it, who these people are, and why it's a tale of tragedy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Is that not what you see? You're just so focused on the work aspect of it?
It's all the work, bro. Like it's just all the work. It just is, man. It's just all the work.
But the enduring legacy of it, I think, is three things: is the Jake Roberts addiction piece and his daughter, the Mick Foley watching the reaction of his family, his fantasy life, his dream, the negative impact it has on the people he loves, and also, of course, Dennis Stamp on a trampoline with baby weights.
Yeah. The only real thing in that movie, the only real thing you're going to get, it's all coming out of Mick. The real emotions of his family and his real emotion of watching that. To me, those are the only real two things in the movie.
Is Mick personally the guy you've known who isn't a worker? I mean, he only works himself.
Mick, all the years that I worked with Mick, and I remember it wasn't just WWE. We went on to work at TNA. Mick never worked me. I never saw Mick work anybody else. I never saw that. But it's how important it is to him and how important it was to him and how he was willing to do everything and anything. That's the part of it that I look at that's like, just why? Like, really, like, why, bro? Like, why? For people to be talking about you, for 30, 40, 50 years from now, and when you're in your 60s, bro, you might not even be able to count to 10. Like, I don't understand. So, I mean, I can't answer those questions because I don't understand. I don't understand why he felt he had to go out there and do all that. Only he understands.
So this was a watch along for our Patreon members at patreon.com/. Well, you don't need to know. You're already a Patreon member. But if you're part of our 13 weeks and also our Russo Club, we're going to try to get in another watch along this month. We promised you one a month, but we're going to try to get in a second one at the end of this month for you. But are you glad that we did this today with the watch along?
Yeah, no, I am. I'm definitely glad. I'm definitely, because, you know, Matt, I don't go back and watch this stuff. I have no interest in it. There's no reason for me to watch it. So it is interesting when, you know, like I'm almost forced to go back and watch it. I mean, it is interesting.
It's an interesting thing where you were talking earlier about the fact that, you know, you go you're kicking and screaming going to these events and stuff. It's almost like that with this stuff, and it's almost like you're always glad that you watched it. Are you glad you watched this today?
No, I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm not glad I watched it, because again, there for as long as I've been in the business, there's just so many things I don't understand. I don't understand, and I will never understand. And I think the reason why I don't understand is I'm not in the bubble. And I mean, I wasn't a part of that world, and I never wanted to become a part of that world. And I made sure I was on the other side of that world. So to this day, I'll watch this stuff, and I don't get it. I still don't get it, man. I have never been obsessed to the level of anything that so many of the people in this industry are. So I can't understand. I don't understand the level of obsession. I don't know what makes 73-year-old Vince McMahon sit at a gorilla position every Monday and Tuesday night. I don't understand that. I've never loved anything or been as obsessed with anything in my entire life. So I don't understand that. I don't understand why does Shane McMahon go back on the road? You know, Shane was doing his own thing and whatever, and he was with his wife and his kids, and now there is Shane back in the bubble again, being away from his kids every week. I don't get that, bro. If I had the choice to not have been away from my family, I would not have been away from my family.
We will see you next time, patrons, on Truth with Consequences, Patreon exclusive.